Okay, so I'm now joined by Chris Yans, head coach of New Mexico State, after the Aggies claimed a 71-49 victory over Chicago State here in the Jones Convocation Center. So, Coach, this was a little bit of a weird game. I asked Lance Irving his thoughts on this too. Chicago State played the last 12 minutes with only 5 players. So, what was it like kind of coaching in a game like that where you knew, at any moment kind of for the last 12 minutes, you could have been playing 5-on-4 basketball?
I shouldn't admit this, but I didn't even realize that until you told me. I had no idea that they only had 5 players left. Throughout the game, I wasn't, viewing their bench to see what they had left. I knew they had fouled some guys out, but normally they have a pretty full roster of guys, and I didn't put 2 and 2 together thinking about it now because they did have 2 or 3 that were out heading into the game. But I've never played in a game where you didn't finish with 5, so that would have been an interesting scenario for sure.
So you're a Midwest guy, originally from Iowa, coached a whole lot in the Midwest. What is it like kind of coming back here to Chicago once a year, and what was it like tonight for that game?
It reminds me how much I love where I live because of the snow and the cold weather. But no, it's great. My first job was in Chicago area at Elmer's College. It always reminds me of kind of where it started, so it's nice to come back that way. And my wife's from Aurora, so it's a great homecoming for her. We get to see the in-laws, etc. But it's nice coming home. It's nice coming home. And then we'll go to Kansas City, obviously, here tomorrow, and that's close to where I grew up, and I have a lot of family and friends. So certainly the WAC has some travel struggles, but you're also in major cities, and there's usually someone that you know, which makes it a little bit better.
Yeah, and now this was your 27th straight WAC victory, including conference tournaments. It leads the country in that current record there. How do you keep getting the wins and racking them up?
We've got good players. They're pretty competitive. And certainly in this day and age, you got to talk about it because it's not like they're not reading about it. So we embrace it. We talk about it, that, the target continues to get bigger. I think my experience at Wichita State going through some similar type of runs has helped me understand how to manage it and continue just try to win every day and get them to understand that, we're going to take people's best shots and embrace it and realize that it's making us better. Because when you're playing team's best shot, when you get in, bigger games and tournaments, etc., you're used to that frenzied approach. And so I think it helps us. But certainly we're aware of it. It's fun. We've embraced it. Certainly it's not going to last forever. We're going to try to keep it going as long as we can.
And you mentioned that best shot. For the first 16 minutes of this game, this was a one-possession game for most of it. What did you see from your guys in particular and how they responded to that?
I thought we were sloppy early. We had some silly turnovers. We missed 3 or 4 layups in the first 10 minutes of the game that would have made a big difference. And you have to credit Chicago State for coming out and playing really hard. Lance, his win total is not reflecting of how hard their team is playing. They were flying around for all 40 minutes. So we just didn't get off to a good start. We missed those layups. We were silly with the ball, and they took advantage of it. And fortunately, down the stretch of the first half, we made some shots to get a little more comfortable lead heading into halftime.
And for the past 3 years, this New Mexico State-Chicago State game has been the first round of the WAC tournament, and it's looking like it's trending that way again this year. So was there anything you kind of picked up on this game that you're going to use in a probable third game moving forward?
Well, they played us almost entirely zone. In the past, they've been switching up their defenses, man to zone. They played man maybe the first 2 or 3 possessions, if I recall correctly, and then they jumped into a zone for the majority of the game. But you know how it goes. Who knows how they'll come out if we end up playing them a third time. But certainly we'll have some video to show them that, we've got to be locked and loaded and ready to go because of some success that they had against us here.
And then one last one. You had your 2 walk-ons, Tennessee and Bryce. They were both able to get into the game and both score. What was that like for you? And when you put them in, did you tell them, hey, just shoot?
No, actually I didn't. You'd have to follow us religiously to understand this, but it's been quite the phenomenon with those 2. They get into games late in Las Cruces, and ultimately they score every time. it's like every time they shoot it, it goes in. It's crazy. And they're from Las Cruces.
Yeah.
So they become kind of rock stars in the community. And this is the earliest they've ever been in the game. And we really did that for two reasons. One, to get them some real experience. And two, we got a Saturday game. We thought the score, was in our favor enough to be able to sub out a little bit early. But I don't have to tell them to shoot. When they get in the game, they're going to shoot the ball. But when it doesn't go in, to be honest with you, I'm surprised because they've shot so well in the minutes they've received all year long. But they're great kids and they're great teammates, and it's fun for them to get in the game a little bit earlier than normal.
Well, thank you for taking the time, Coach.
Yeah, appreciate
Pleasure
it.
to talk.
Thanks for having me.